What is going on? Another big week in college football, in pro football, and as you see on the screen, basketball off to a hot start. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Outstanding. How are you, sir?
Doing good. I had to wear a hat so that nobody would complain about the light bouncing off my head.
Fair. I got the fresh cut, which always makes me look like I'm balding, which potentially I am. But
you are.
Shout out Pops for calling me out for that last time. So we'll start with the NBA news. Great games last two days, and then got smacked in the mouth this morning by Chauncey Billups, who I'm a massive fan of. T, I know you are too. And just he's out here, rigging poker games for the mafia, and then Terry Rozier in the gambling mess. I don't think anybody's super surprised about that. I am surprised that the NBA kind of cleared him this year, and then, right away he comes back out and arrested with this insider gambling type thing. And Hammer, I'll go to you as the guy who has a show that's kind of centered around sports gambling, and I gotta imagine this was always the fear, right, when the leagues are getting involved into sports gambling, and a lot of big money involved in it. Arenas have sports books like in arenas that you can, in stadiums you can gamble with. NBA, NFL are sponsored by DraftKings and FanDuel and Prize Picks and all these things now. And then you got your customer who's like, hey, I might have been cheated out of some money here. So how do you think the leagues respond to something like this?
Well, it was inevitable, right? Because to your point, the Superdome in New Orleans, sponsored by Caesars. The NBA is sponsored by DraftKings. We have LeBron James as a very prominent spokesperson for DraftKings. So I'm not saying that that's what they get, but they kind of invited this problem. And you guys know as well as I do, you can have all the symposiums and conferences and counseling and everything in the world. You can impose whatever regulation and rules it's going to happen in one way or another. But the thing that's really shocking to me is how deep this went.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about some guys making some bets in the locker room or whatever. We're talking about, wire fraud. We're talking about rigged poker games. We're talking about, illegal underground activity. And this thing stemmed as far as the mafia. So, I'll be honest. When I first saw the headline that a coach and a player and a former player all got busted for placing bets, we've seen that in the past, right? That's not anything new. But when the details started coming out of how far-reaching and how deep this went, it was pretty shocking. And I would expect at some point there's going to be some major changes to how gambling is regulated. One thing they won't ever be able to do, because it makes millions and millions of dollars for sports books, casinos, parlay sites such as the, Prize Picks, Underdog, Better, things like that. They'll never take away player props. And, that's the majority of what a lot of this stemmed around over the past several years. But dude, this went way beyond that. So when the federal government gets involved, and it's, I think $7 million is what we're looking at was stolen or whatever. This thing's been going on for years. I think we're going to see some type of change in regulation, and nothing good is going to come of this for anybody, especially those guys involved. It's crazy. I honestly, I haven't seen anything like this. We've seen point shaving and all this stuff over the years, but man, this is crazy. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and Richie, I will say before we start picking on Louisville fans now, Terry was the kingpin of this thing, at least on the East Coast, it seems like. But De Niro Laster, former Kentucky linebacker, was one of the 30 people arrested involved in this thing. So I don't know how he was involved. I didn't really get deep into the article, but he was involved in this, somehow tied directly to Terry Rozier. I don't know where Terry's from. I know Laster, how you say his last name, is a Cincinnati kid. I vaguely remember him from the Kentucky team. I don't think he played much. 2016, I believe, was the 2016 or 2017. I believe he played for Kentucky, but I don't think he was I don't remember him being a substantial player for that defense. Yeah, this is. I think they said up to 70 arrests they were expecting. Tied to this thing, however the web goes.
Well, yeah, and you think too that members of the mafia were included in those that were arrested. So if you think this is over and done, I got some oceanfront property in Kansas I'm willing to negotiate with you on, because there's going to be some serious activity take place over the next several coming days. And again, when you're talking about the mob, this thing may turn ugly, because people know stuff that they're not going to want to get out. I'll leave it at that.
Oh yeah. Well, there's my assumption is there's probably some more high profile folks like Chauncey Billups who aren't sleeping real well tonight. Yep. there's some folks who are like, oh no, how long does this list go? And this isn't Epstein's list. This one's going to get released. Yeah, we're going to know who's on that list.
This isn't Diddy or Epstein. This is going to be put on full display. And the crazy thing too, when you think about, like, the thing that stood out to me the most, Rando, was the rigged poker games that went down. They named locations in the Hamptons, Miami, Las Vegas, and Manhattan. There's a lot of prominent people that live in those areas or have property in those areas. This thing may be way bigger than what we got hit in the mouth with today. This could be epic.
Yeah. What and it's funny because they mentioned that Chauncey's being charged with illegal poker games,
Right.
and then fraudy illegal poker games. Like, how do you? It's like, is that a crime? I don't. I do law enforcement. So I'm like, I don't know. Is fraud of illegal stuff still fraud, or do we just go ahead and say, hey, the whole thing's illegal? I don't know how you stack those charges, but
I don't think two wrongs make a right in it, though. So,
yeah, that's true.
An illegal fraud, it doesn't make it okay. So
no, absolutely not. I think it just makes it more dangerous when you get caught and not from the police side. You know what I'm saying? But I think I don't know how you come forward and if you're involved in illegal poker games, but I read that some folks that had either been contacted by the FBI or contacted the FBI were talking about losing $1.7 million in these games.
Yeah, it's a tremendous amount of money, and and a lot of people may, excuse me, look at this from the perspective of, okay, so you've got an NBA coach that makes millions of dollars a year. You've got NBA players, Jonte Porter, Terry Rozier, that make all this money. Why would they be involved in something like this? And a lot of times, it's about the money, but it's not about the money. It's an addiction. It's the thrill of making the bet and being right. I mean, I give out plays on one of my podcasts, and I'm more excited about being right about a pick than I am about the money that the pick brought. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's almost like that competitive type thing that I want to beat. I want to beat that number. I want to beat that play. And so then it evolves like anything else that you have an addiction toward or whatever. So it is about money. But I'm like, man, dude, if you're going to do crap like this, wait till you're retired, right? Or wait till, if you're a professional coach, just wait till you get fired, because that's eventually what's going to happen. I just can't believe that active NBA coaches and players are involved in this. That it literally blows my mind, and it can't help but make you wonder and question how far-reaching does this go into other professional sports. We've already seen the deal with Ohtani and his interpreter. We've seen it fall into the college ranks where college players and coaches are making bets in the dadgum locker rooms. So it goes on in whatever degree, at whatever level throughout sports. It's going to be interesting to see how much exposure takes place and how many people get dragged into this before the dust settles.
Yeah, and this is a good point by Richie. Chauncey Billups is a big name, but he's a coach and he hasn't been a national champion point guard in a very, very long time. And he was never really a face of the league.
Right.
But this comes out and, it's doubtful, but say LeBron is linked to it, Steph is linked to it. Someone like Anthony Edwards, who I think the league is trying to make the face, the future face. I don't know. T, you could fill another name that'd be big.
Wembanyama.
Yeah, one of the big international stars, Luka. Yeah, Luka. Someone like that is involved in this thing, and I think you're almost forced to at least take a pause and be like, okay, we're gonna, I don't know. Do they just completely say we're getting out of this game because it looks so bad, or they just take the punches and say, hey, time heals all wounds. People will forget because, like you said, it is an addiction. It's a rush. They'll just be like, hey, it's not going to happen anymore. I'll put this bet on there. Curious to see how that goes, but it will affect sports books or in professional sports moving forward if a big name like that's tied to it.
Yeah. I think it's already going to impact the industry to some degree. Like I said, I mean, they're not going to be able to, say, oh, you can't bet on player props anymore. That's not going to fly. There's offshore gaming too, so they can regulate and put out rules and all this stuff. But that's one thing that's one fight they're not going to win. So I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what actions or steps they can take beyond what they have in place now. But something's going to change. You can be sure to that.
T, I know you don't dive in the sports gambling world very much, but you are a big NBA fan. So how do you think this impacts the league? I haven't seen anything. I'm sure Silver has come out and made a statement. I haven't seen it, haven't really dug into it. But what do you think he does kind of moving forward? It was the beginning of the season, so this is like the worst time for it to drop. It's going to carry on for all 86 or whatever many games that they play. I think you're muted, dude.
My bad. Thunder and Pacers are they're in double overtime right now. I'm watching that game. He's at that game. Correct. Terrible timing. So I look at this more from a fan perspective than I do the gambling implications. Like as a fan, it's just like what am I watching if the games are already predetermined, or like what we want to see as fans is people go at it, give their absolute best, and may the best man win. Like that's what you want to see as fans. And I think this really diminishes, your kid-like enjoyment of the game or whatever. Like, how can I be so vested if I'm a fan of a particular team or whatever, if I'm now learning that all this stuff behind the scenes is happening? And I mean, Hammer mentioned it. I mean, we've known about point shaving and all this stuff for years, but this one is about to blow up, and then we're going to realize that it's far more widespread than just little onesie twosies here and there. Like, and that's really, I mean, I think it's been more and more vocal from sports fans in general about how fixed or fake. Like I see posts all the time that's like, man, the NFL is as fake as the WWE now, or whatever, because it's all fixed. So that's just going to continue to spread. And it's not going to be good for leagues. You're going to get less and less people tuning in. And then particularly as each league is trying to do this, you need to buy NBA League Pass, and you need to buy Paramount Plus and all this stuff. These package deals aren't going to be paying off for the carriers. And then that's obviously going to trickle back to the league, because they're going to be like, no, it's not worth me paying you $30 billion for your TV rights because your viewership's down because nobody trusts your product anymore. So I think to me, that's how I'm thinking about it, is just the impact this is going to have on the NBA. And then agreed, like Hammer said as well, who's doing this in football, who's doing this in baseball, who's doing whatever in hockey or whatever. So the NBA needs to hope that the FBI has a pretty thorough investigation, and that they're kind of hopefully able to bring it in from the left and right. Like, hey, we wrapped this all up. We got the whole ring and we've eradicated it. That won't be true, but if they can put out a report that at least makes people feel a little better about it, that will help. Right now, though, I think professional sports are teetering on a dangerous line right now.
Yeah, T, you're right. I mean, damaging for the NBA for sure. But the narrative you just mentioned about how there's a lot of fans who think the NFL is already rigged. Like, there's a script already. Right. If this would have happened for the NFL, oh my goodness. Yeah. I think it would have been 10x. Because I think, the NBA is good. They own social media. I think their Twitter and how they do. But on a viewership, streaming, or old school TV, what do they call that? Linear television, their numbers aren't as big as the NFL. So I think that does have a way bigger effect if this would have came out and it would have been a NFL coach, an NFL player. And then to Coach's point here, I do think the NFL got ahead of it with the Calvin Ridley thing, right? I mean, a full year suspension and essentially really set his career all the way back. He went to Tennessee, was supposed to be their wide receiver one, and he's never got back to being the Atlanta Falcons Calvin Ridley. So if I'm a player, especially a high profile one, I'm looking at that and like, it certainly isn't worth, missing a full year potentially at this point as it's growing, maybe being, like Coach said, being banned forever, and missing out on that second contract where I'm going to be making $150 million or whatever, But we shall see how this turns out. It'll be interesting for sure.
The other thing, and I mean, this is me being somewhat like purposely naive, but the fact that the mob or the mafia is still running stuff, like, this is 2025, not the 1930s, and the mob is still, like, I'm curious what the mob looks like now. It's not a bunch of dudes in suits in the Bronx or whatever part of.
It's not the Sopranos anymore.
Yeah, like I'm still picturing. So I'm just curious, like what I mean. It's clearly a thing, and I was kind of chuckling to myself because like you, I'm a huge Chauncey Billups fan. I mean, he was my favorite player in the league for a couple of years, but he's always kind of been a gangster type dude, and so for him to be linked in with the mob is just kind of funny to me. And I'm like, what does the mob look like now? It's intentional, Coach Evans. I know they exist. I'm more so saying like, what do they look like now? It's not dudes in suits, with the pistol on them anymore. That's all.
Not especially with all this stuff right now. It's probably a bunch of nerds from Harvard who can launder money through like some some nerd crypto website or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's always going to be one muscle guy, but
I don't think suspension is the answer. I think it needs to be first offense. You're banned for life. Period. That's the only way that they're going to put enough fear in players to not get involved in stuff like this.
And it needs to be on somebody with a name, right? Because they did it to Porter.
Yeah, nobody cares. I mean, honestly, does anybody care about Jonte Porter?
Right, because it's Jonte Porter and he was in Toronto, so like it doesn't matter. Terry Rozier is not a A-lister, but I would say he's a B-lister. I mean, he's had a couple big contracts. He can give you 20-something a game.
Yep.
So if he gets a lifetime ban, that that might send that might have a better ripple effect than Porter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and not it's kind of a slippery slope, but somebody will have to be made example of, I think. Especially with these young kids coming up that are a little willing to take a few more risks maybe than older veterans. Although we've got, I mean, Chauncey Billups has got to be at least my age or older, right? He's got to be getting close to 60, not that I am. And then, Rozier's not, I mean, he's not a rookie either. So I don't know, man. This is crazy. Honestly, this is absolutely nuts.
Yeah. It's just a bad look for professional sports. It really is. And then it's just all, it's all tied back to Vegas and
Hammer, that's a good point. You mentioned it being the addiction. Kids now coming up, this is normal, right? So
yeah,
Chauncey's time frame, if you gambled, it was like this secret, right? You were going offshore, you were doing things behind and maybe that's what it is. It's like it's still that rush of doing something, like doing something illegal. Now guys are like, I could gamble whenever I want to before. I really don't care. It's not that big of a deal. It's normal, right? It's kind of like weed now. Like back then,
you had to step into a sport book at a casino somewhere, and it was very limited to Nevada, New Jersey, maybe a handful of Native American gaming establishments, whatever. Dude, right now I can pull up any sport book on this device.
Yeah,
and you know who else has devices like this? Kids.
Yeah.
I mean, fake IDs was a big thing, at least back in, my day when we etched them out with stone and chisel. You think they can't do a false age verification nowadays? VPN? I mean,
oh yeah,
the technology is crazy. So
yeah. I made a joke about wanting to be able to gamble out here in California. And again, at least the good Lord gave me enough sense to not do something this stupid, but they're like, hey, dog, you just got to download a VPN and then it'll think you're here. And I was like, well, I was literally just kidding. I don't really care about it that much. But it was someone who I would consider a child who's telling me how to do this. So it's like, yeah, it's crazy. It's become very, very accessible. Within a matter of seconds, you can gamble away even a pretty substantial amount of money for depending on who you are and what kind of what kind of situation you're in. You can get on there and gamble away a couple $1,000s with really out any checks. So definitely a slippery slope there, and it's going to be interesting how this thing unravels because, like both of you guys mentioned, this is just the tip. This is just the tip. But I didn't introduce us. We just got right into the show. And before we get into the meat and taters of this thing, which is the Kentucky-Tennessee football game, 1/2 all UK ball. Selena is not here with us. Send your prayers to Selena. She's taking care of the family. But I'm gonna hold it down for the all UK ball. I will say I thought I was gonna have some UK help here. I'm outnumbered, but it looks like at least I got Richie in the comments, so we'll call that even. And then we got
Richie is not supporting you in Kentucky football.
Yeah,
no, he ain't. No, he ain't. That's true. That's a good point.
Kentucky fan. So right now it's probably 3-1, Rando.
Yeah, very true. And well, I'm super.
We already know. We already know. Coach Evans coming with it.
Yeah. Well, and then there at the bottom of the screen, 1/3 of Border Rivals, T-Step, and Irish Hammer, who is now a staple. We were in the chat before. Say, hey, man, you're part of the family. You don't get to leave now. You are a part of the mafia. That is Heavy Pour Sports.
Yeah, that might have been too soon, dude.
But hey, you guys coming off a bye week, right? A little extra week of rest.
You talking to us? Who you talking to?
Who'd you guys play?
That's
you
funny.
Really want to do this?
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh man, too early? That might have been way too early.
Yeah.
But no. Hammer and I had a nice little watch along on Saturday. We were both very supportive. It was a good therapy session. The y'all's game was it close? But there was, that volunteer offense can get going. Ours, I think, was even more painful just because of all the ways we could have won and didn't win, which, if you're a Kentucky football fan, super predictable how that outcome was going to turn out. But getting into Kentucky, Tennessee, in Lexington, night game, how you guys looking coming off the Bama game? Healthy? I know we took some hits against Texas that I can talk about in a second, but how y'all looking healthy or how y'all looking health-wise? And any concerns after watching Kentucky play Texas and now the spread down to 7.5, I think last time I saw it. So what are your thoughts there as the Vols travel north to Lexington?
Go ahead, T.
I'm gonna lament the same thing that I continue to lament. Self-inflicted wounds. Hammer and I both talked about it last week, and that's that we could not afford to have, and it's exactly what we had. We had false starts. We had formations where we're lining up incorrectly. We got holding calls, guys downfield that can't be downfield, all stuff that is unforced errors. Like penalties in a game happen, like holding and that kind of stuff. That happens. That's not a self-inflicted wound. That is, hey, the enemy had a part to play. The self-inflicted wounds, they drive me absolutely bananas because they've been a staple of the Heupel tenure. I'm still a Heupel fan. I'm nowhere near calling for his head or any of that kind of stuff, but I'm I'm like fed up with that stuff. I've probably been complaining to you about it for years, Rando. Like self-inflicted wounds. Like we have to stop that. And then Joey probably had his worst game, and I think I should have taken that with a grain of salt because I forgot the type of pain that he was playing in with the neck stuff. So he was a trooper, but the interception at halftime, I think that was bad on everybody's bad formation, bad play call, bad throw. But then also the sack he took for a safety, got to have better pocket awareness, that kind of stuff. So hopefully his neck is feeling a little better. But it's for me, it will continue to be the self-inflicted wounds. Like that's what cost us at Georgia, didn't even give us much of a chance at Bama. So I think y'all will actually have a good atmosphere. It's Kroger. It's a nighttime game. It's Tennessee and Kentucky. So there's just a ton of potential for these ridiculous self-inflicted wounds again. So that's what I continue to harp on. Like, can we please get some discipline in our bodies? Like that's my thing.
Hammer, going to the I think the momentum changing play right before half. I went back and looked at it live. You said, hey, I don't think that was a bad read. Just a good play by the defense. After you've had some time to look at it, still think so? Because I think I would challenge you on that one. It looked like he predetermined that throw and didn't really look what that linebacker was dropping back into coverage to do. Linebacker or safety, whoever it was.
Well, I'll speak to that, but regardless of what either one of us say, that play should have never been called on third down. Alabama knew we couldn't run the football in that situation. If we were going to run a play action, we should have done it on second down. And if it wasn't there, throw it away. We couldn't stop the clock. So why in the world, after trying it twice, line up in the same formation, do a play action? That linebacker, safety, nickel, star, whatever they call them down there in Tuscaloosa, he was just waiting on it. He knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And Joey didn't look him off. You're right. Joey did lock in because that was the play, because that was the only play that he had to make. We could have done anything, Rando. Anything else could have happened. It could have been complete pass. We could have fumbled. We could have, thrown it out of the back of the end zone. We could have
let the time run out, would have been better.
Out of bounds like the volleyball player did. Anything would have been better than what happened, because that was a 14-point swing. We were 2 yards away. 98 yards later, we're going into the half down 16 instead of down 2. So,
and Alabama got the ball at half, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So regardless of how it was executed, it was absolutely atrocious play call to call that play on third down. That play action wouldn't have fooled Ray Charles. He would have seen it coming.
Yeah, there's no reason to bite on it, right?
They knew we weren't running the ball.
So throwing a pass, I'm okay with. It's just why that formation, and then I'm with you. Why play action? Give yourself more options. Like he had to throw it to Kitzelman. Like, get your receivers out there, spread it out, get yourself some space for a rollout. That's where, wait. And that's why I said bad play call, bad. I mean, there's a bad throw by Joey too, because he threw it inside. But so it's just bad all the way around. Spread it out. That's
my dog that was asleep at my feet reacted more to that play action than Alabama's defense did.
Yeah, that was a swing and a miss. So here's something that I've been thinking about heavily, and I'm glad I got you here to talk about it, Hammer, and you too, Rando. What I've been getting on Stoops about for like the last 2 years is that he plateaued, and then now he's on the down slope. My concern is are we approaching, or have we reached the plateau for Heupel? Now it's a high ceiling, and he's taken us very high, but the same stuff that's plagued us since 21 is still plaguing us now. So has he reached as high as he can go, which is getting us to the college football playoff, but not being competitive there, still not being able to win against a top team on the road? Still just fumbling games on the road in particular, still not having discipline. I'm not trying to call for his head or anything like that, but it's just something that's creeping into my head now. Have we arrived, or are we very close to arriving to Heupel's plateau as a coach here at Tennessee?
Well, and is Heupel the Franklin for Tennessee? Is he the one that can win 10 games but can't beat Bama on the road, like those? And I'll just add that piece to it. Like, are you scared that he can't win the big game when needed to get you over the hump?
Well, we said the start of this season, playing at Tuscaloosa and playing at Florida, we got Georgia at home, so we felt like we had a shot in that game, and we did. We had every opportunity to win that game, and we just don't have a killer instinct to step on a team's throat when we've got them on the ropes. Add that to the list, T, of issues that we've seen over the years. So, we just completely – everything that was going well for us in this season completely fell apart. Joey got sacked 4 times. You know how many times he's been sacked all year combined? 4. Defense had 0 sacks in this game, and we're talking about the team that led the nation in sacks. 0. Penalties. Shooting ourselves in the foot again. We had procedural penalties at home. You should never have false starts at home. That's insanely ridiculous. And I don't understand. And I'm with you, T. I'm not saying fire everybody, although I did say that earlier this week. Going for 2 when we scored in the third and we were down 10, we went for 2. I mean, dude, that wasn't even in Mike McDaniel's playbook or analytics sheet. Where in the hell did that come from?
Yeah, that was bad.
So there's a lot of things that is very frustrating. And Tia, I said all that to come around to this and say that we see time and time again in either a big game or a critical moment in a game. We've got to get over these humps. We've got to beat Georgia at some point. We've got to win in Tuscaloosa at some point. We have to win in Gainesville at some point. And until that happens, 1, I can't expect us to. And 2, we can't expect to be any higher than we are right now. Like first round exit, an ugly first round exit to the Suckeyes is our ceiling until we win one of those games in those venues. I mean, we can't even talk about winning in Athens right now. We can't beat them at home.
Right.
At least we can beat Alabama and Florida at home. And you rewind back, 5 or 6 years, and we would have given anything to be in a game with Georgia and Alabama and Florida. I know a lot of people have their worst coach, and Dooley always comes up and Pruitt, but man, I'm gonna tell you, for me, it's Lyle Jones, and the reason it's Butch is because he let us go 0-8 in conference play. That's never happened in the history of our program. We've never not won an SEC game. So Heupel has certainly brought us to monumental, highs from where we were. But T, this fan base as well as I do. Rando, you do too. We're not going to accept 9 and 10 win seasons every year, get in the playoff, and that's it. I mean, that's not going to work. And I don't know, T, at what point do the pitchforks start rattling in the barn?
Correct. And that's kind of my concern. Like, is this his ceiling? Now, I do try to give him some grace. Like, we saw what happened with Hendon Hooker his second year in the system, and Heupel hasn't had that since. We go from Milton, which we all knew what Milton was going to be at the start of the season, like, because he showed us when he was starting in front of Hendon.
Yep.
So we already knew he was going to be throwing laser beams all over the place, overthrown. So there was no surprise that season, and I think everybody had a lot of grace for Heupel that season. And then, we go into the Nico year, expectations much higher, and then Nico was basically Milton all over again. And then so now you come fast forward, now we have another quarterback this year, and I think that was everybody's excitement coming into the year before all the Nico stuff. Like, hey, we're about to have somebody in the system for the second year. So yeah. I try to keep that in my consideration. I think it does matter having more than a year or, more than a month or two like Joey had. So ton of grace to Joey, and I'm trying to give some to Heupel as well. I think it will matter if he could get a quarterback for 2 seasons or 3 or whatever. But again, even with the quarterback stuff, so maybe we're scoring more and doing more and all that, but that doesn't change the fact that we're still having the same issues with the procedural stuff and the shooting ourselves in the foot. And I forgot what he said in the post-game thing, but I feel like every game that we lose, it's the same.
It's the same for the same reasons.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And so that's and again, I'm not there, but it's creeping into my head. Like, have we reached his ceiling? Again, very high ceiling, particularly considering what he came into, operating with less scholarships, a laughing stock of a program at the time. That's just my whole thing. As a coach, you have to continue to progress, and that's what made Nick Saban so good. Is he never really, his ceiling was the national championship,
right?
And even Kirby Smart right now, where he has a team that is not 22 first round draft picks, he's still finding a way to be one of the best teams in the country. So we don't know what his ceiling is yet. So it's something that I kind of been kicking around in my head. I'm not there yet, but it's something I'm kind of starting to look at.
Yeah,
Can't have the same issue for 5 straight years.
Yeah, and I agree with a great deal of what you said. Even said during the transition period from the volleyball player to Joey that we have to temper. And Vegas only dropped our win total one game. We're at 9.5. They dropped us to 8.5. I'm like, well, crap, you should have put us at 11.5 because that clown is not the reason we made the playoff last year. But with that said, I'd pointed out that there were probably fewer returning starting quarterbacks in the SEC this year than I've seen in quite some time. So there is validity to what you said, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a minute. When you look around the rest of the country, Ohio State's got a new quarterback. They don't seem to be having those issues. Georgia has a new quarterback. Technically, he played one game last year. Miami has a new quarterback. Indiana has a new quarterback. So there are other teams that are able to overcome whatever those issues are with, transfers and not having continuity with, the same guys in the system and all. So I don't know. I mean, I'm drinking out of the same punch bowl you are, T, but also just as an observer of the landscape and what other programs are able to do, man, it's kind of tough to swallow. We got a bunch of new guys. Well, so does everybody else.
Yeah. Tennessee is very Kentucky basketball-esque, right? Like we can have number 1, number 2 type SEC seasons, but if we're not winning SEC tournament games or we're getting bounced in the first round, Cal's now at Arkansas, right? So, like you said, you're not going to accept first-round losses in the playoff and just have good seasons and have away games that you lose in the playoff. You
not with the amount of money that fans pay to go to games.
Yeah.
Season ticket holders, talent fees, cost of merchandise. It's very expensive to be a true college football fan and go to, games, especially, away games. I mean, a lot of people go to away games because they can get in a hell of a lot cheaper than they can in Knoxville.
Yeah.
So I think with that, demand for money also comes a demand on return on investment from the fan base. And I'm not necessarily that guy, but there are people that look at it that way that probably have a lot more say than I do, which is none.
I'm not trying to say it's because of the newness or anything. I'm just I'm trying to find a reason to give him some grace and stuff.
I'm with you on that. I think he deserves it.
Yeah, he does. He deserves some runway. I'm just curious if are we approaching the end of it or not. So again, I'm not there, and I'll let this one go. But it's just, have we arrived at the ceiling, or are we very close to it? And we have to win out to even have a shot at the playoff to see, can we make some adjustments for what we did in the playoff? And we'll get to that, weeks down the road. But yeah, we'll see. But all right, I'm off it. It's just that's something that's kind of been in one of the few wrinkles in my brain. I don't have a lot of them.
To wrap it up, I think you got a conversation for another day. But all right, Heupel's out. If you have hit, even if you've hit the ceiling, who's the replacement, and can they do better? Right. That's always the question is, all right, you're letting this dude go, who is going to give you exciting seasons and maybe can get you 1 or 2, get over the hump and finally win that big game that you guys were talking about. But who's coming in behind them that's going to really elevate even more, right? Tennessee's a big job. If it becomes open, you can really have your pick of folks that are out there who aren't in a Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. So It's a very attractive job, but you still got to find the right guy who can come in there, which is, what Penn State's doing right now. It's an attractive job, but are you going to find a dude who's better than Drew Franklin, who's going to get you 10 wins, but not going to get you the wins that you want? So that's always the gamble.
It is, and he's going to have a longer runway anyway because he's Danny White's guy. He came with Danny White, so he'll have even more grace with him, I would assume, than even with the fan base. But that's a valid point. But I don't think anybody expected him to turn Tennessee back into what he did so quickly. So you're right. There's not a name that you're just like, yep, outside like Kirby Smart and what's his face up in Oregon, like 3 dudes or something that you would be like, yes, I would take you over him right now. I don't think there's really too many other people out there like that. And so if you do move on, you just have to hope that you get the right guy and all that stuff, kind of like we did with him. But it's certainly not time to move on. Not at all what I'm trying to imply. I'm very, very, very pleased with him as our head coach. Just, still just things that I see or think about as a fan.
Before we get into the keys to the matchup for Kentucky Tennessee this weekend, I want to share this just because I got a corner on the show and I want to get your perspective, T. So let me see if I can make this right. Let's get rid of the chat.
I have a small screen. All right, let me.
Can you see this now?
Let me get up close. Yeah.
All right. So I want to share this. So this was early in the game, and I think I can even zoom in more. Early in the game, first quarter, we're driving. If we convert here, it's we will be in the low red area, goal to go, potentially taking a lead on Texas. So this is the 4th down play. You see, you got Dowdell here lined up kind of fullback spot. I don't understand why we have.
You want me to watch the top or the bottom?
So watch K-Law right here.
Okay.
All right. So I don't understand why we can't get creative as an offense. Now, I will tell you, we went for it on 3rd and 2 QB sneak, and that's how we got here, right? So you're going to see 2 very not creative, old school football type plays against one of the best D fronts in college football. So I'm going to roll this a little bit. Watch K-Law go. What do you see there as a corner? If you're obviously man coverage, which makes sense, it's 4th and 1. But if you're this guy, what are your thoughts right now?
That he's going to run a corner because his momentum is taking him. He's going to continue outside, or if he doesn't and he goes back inside, it's got to be a hard stop, which is going to give me a chance to hard stop with him as well.
But are you at an advantage or disadvantage right now?
You're always at a disadvantage if you're chasing.
Right. And you're having to go behind the linebackers 5 yards behind the football, right? So then you got one-on-one here to get a block. This play ends up being a fullback dive, basically. But look, this dude doesn't pay attention to K-Law here. He reads on Dowdell, and you see that. And this has been a play that we run all the time. Look at all this space. If he hands that ball off, he legit falls forward for the first down. If he makes this dude miss, or if Jamore Macklin goes to the second level to block him and he makes this dude miss, he's walking into the end zone. I watched this play so many times going, and we'd run this before earlier in the game, and we got the same look. And then you fast forward to, and Hammer can attest to this because he was watching the game. You fast forward to the 3rd down play and 4th down play in overtime where you got to have a touchdown, and we run damn near the same thing, except Dowdell tries to jump over the line of scrimmage and gets no yardage as well.
Well, here's where you're talking about creativity, right? And remember, I was talking about the hard stop because he's running really hard this way. Play action right there because everybody's diving down at the fullback or running back or whatever the case may be. So you give yourself a half a second or a second to survive with the play action. You let your stationary receiver run whatever route just to get in the way, a pick play, basically. And you run some form of like a Dorito route or whatever anybody wants to call it, where you're going hard that way, you stop, pivot, and go the opposite direction. You got
exactly.
You got the corner that's chasing. He's legally picked off, and like you said, you only need 1 yard anyway. and you got a ton of space to get an easy pitch and catch. And if he can make somebody miss, maybe you got a touchdown, but you get your first down. So he gave himself a lot of options by putting him in motion like that. And going against a 9-man front against Texas, try even for 1 yard. That's you're not setting your boys up for success.
That motion is not going to do anything to these linebackers' leverage. They don't have to key on K-Law. It's
Correct.
only this dude.
Correct.
So it doesn't make any sense. Now, what I would have liked to see is, and you see, this was actually, one of the good pieces of Mike McDaniel offense. And you see Kansas City do it a lot with the likes of, Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. Is we'd shown this look before, this kind of jet motion, either a handoff or typically cutters in the shotgun, and then it's a little push pass. But what if he comes across and then right here stops, puts his foot in the ground and comes back this way, and it's an easy little pass out here in the flats.
Yeah,
this dude's leverage. Yeah, this dude's leverage is completely effed. He ain't catching K-Law back on this side. And you have that's the wide side of the field. So it's like even if he does get there or this guy reads it and bumps out, now it's K-Law on a linebacker one-on-one. I'm taking that matchup every time.
Well, that's the short side of the field. Up top?
Short, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Short side.
But either way, you have enough space. And again, it's 4th and 1. So I don't need this to break. I catch it, fall forward. And you're right. Go halfway down, go back up. Now the corner is in big time chase mode, and he's going to have to come down at like a 45-degree angle to go make the tackle. Way easier to make him miss on the tackle. But again, like right now when I'm on the 16, I'm just trying to get a first down. Because then you're going to give yourself a chance to get another first down. You don't have to – you're not going first and goal from there. So you're still driving, so to speak. So,
I would have even been happier, like you said earlier, T, with a Jamori running, like you said, like a quick slant to pick this dude off. And then, K-Law runs a little wheel or something along the sideline, or even just straight down the hash here, and we take an end zone shot would have been a better play than just let's hope we're outmatched here by a bunch, but let's just hope and pray we get enough, a couple inches for a first down. Just how archaic our offense is it's wildly frustrating.
Yeah, a 9-man box going against a 9-man box is crazy. And then
game on the line, rinse and repeat it. Let's do that again twice. The same exact play. One time I think Dowdell was actually lined up in the backfield. Typical halfback, and then I think the next time he was lined up in a fullback, or it might have even been the same exact play where he was lined up in the same spot. I don't remember now. I don't know if you remember, Hammer, but legit. So you run it once in the first quarter, and it failed. But you know what? Maybe if we run it again 2 more times in the fourth or in overtime, maybe it works this time. It's just like talk about gambling, and just that's like your touchdown prop bet for the plus, 1,500 guy. You're just like, I'm just going to throw something on the wall and hope I make a bunch of money, or my like plus 4,000 10-leg parlay where I'm like, hey, this is definitely going to work, even though I know there's 0 chance of it happening.
Yeah, I would say, like I'm looking at McCurdy's comment, I would say that's not a high percentage run play though, because you're 8 on 9. You're 8 Kentucky guys versus 9 Texas guys, because you're not counting the quarterback. You had 2 receivers out. So, like, Texas D-line is phenomenal, and they are outnumbering you. So, like, it's really not that, and they're just better. So I would say in that, and they're playing for the run. Again, it's a 9-man box, which is insane. So you're right. Like, whatever play you run, if it doesn't work, people are going to question it one way or the other. So that's fair, right? Like if we being Kentucky get a little bit of a push and fall forward, everybody's happy, and you don't even review the play. Like even though there were options out there, you wouldn't even have looked at it. So I'm with McCurdy on that. If you do throw a pass and it doesn't work, everybody's going to be, why didn't we just run it? We just needed 1 yard and yada, yada, yada. So
on the play that I just showed, I agree with McCurdy here, where if we had thrown the ball and he doesn't get it, I think a lot of the fan base doesn't look at matchups and leverage and numbers, simple math, and go, okay, that was the right call. They're like, why don't we run the ball? Hashtag run the damn ball. You see it all the time. Now, I will say, after seeing it happen multiple times throughout the game and then getting into overtime, I think if we throw the ball in that situation, even if we go, again, if you're gonna try to play action pass or bootleg on second down and it doesn't happen, and it was just a scramble, Cutter Bully fell forward for a couple yards, got us to that close situation. How do you run the ball twice on third and fourth down in the same front? Especially with you, the thing that frustrated me the most was, I don't know why I thought they were going to do this, because that would be like good coaching. But you go line up in the same formation on fourth down, and you say, okay, this is what the defense is doing. They're doing the same thing. Go figure. I got a timeout in overtime. I have to have this play. I'm using the timeout. And now I'm bringing the guys back and say, hey, we're going to line back up this way. This time we're not handing it to Dowdell. Play action, Caddis, get out in the flat, something else, right? We're going to go hard play action. Dowdell jump just like you did before. We're going to, do something, because they think Texas thinks we're this stupid to run the same play again for the third time, because we are. They saw it, but it's like, and maybe just one time we'll be like, gotcha. We're going to go anti-Stoops, anti-Bush Ham, and actually run some some stuff that makes sense.
All right, let me say this, and then I want to give it to Hammer so we can hear what he says.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but there is something to be said when you're telling your guys, hey, we're letting them know what we're doing. Go in there and beat them. Be better. Now they weren't able to do it, but sometimes that can get the guys going like, all right, yeah, you know what we're doing. We only need 1 yard. I'm gonna lean on you. Mano y mano, right? So maybe that was kind of the mindset. I'm not sure, but let me kick it to you, Hammer, because I want to know what you think as well.
Well, Vince Lombardi made a pretty good career of letting the other team know what he was going to do, because he was going to out execute the play. So it didn't matter. One thing I noticed when you were talking about he's coming on the motion for, maybe the jet sweep or whatever, that right outside linebacker reacted to that. So when he got to, between the tackle and the guard, he kind of lunged forward. So he was ready to blow that up if they gave that ball off. And then when he cleared the quarterback, he stepped back. So I think they were looking for, maybe not expecting, but were at least alert to, hey, this could be, some kind of trick thing, because they overloaded that right side of the line, right? So I don't know. I mean, we all second guess play calls and, execution of said play calls all the time. Just like, play action on third down with no timeouts at the 2. Just for an example.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I
highlighted that one just because
either way you go, it doesn't matter which way you go. If it doesn't work, you're going to be criticized. You should have done the other. So it's a lose-lose if you don't convert. So
100%. I agree there. I really just showed that play in the first quarter because it showed that, hey, it didn't work. There was some creativity to be had. And then, I assume, again, a lot of assumptions for me, but I assume that we got a coach that's got a play call with this little, dry erase marker going X. Nope, that ain't work. And then we're not going to, in the time we got to have it, go back to it, see the big red X and go, but this time it's going to happen, buddy. It's like, what are we doing, man? Like I know you got that thing for a reason, making calls. You got all these quality control folks going up there, it'd be like, hey coach, I wouldn't remember last time we have 0 yards on this play. We ran it 4 times. That's my,
yeah. If the defense lines up in dime or quarter, then maybe you can run that play and get a yard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
and the only negative thing about having Cutter, the only negative thing about having Cutter Boley out there is, is his youth. Is he doesn't have it in him to be like, go out there and huddle and be like, hey, 0 effing chance of running.
We're not doing that.
No way. Yeah, we ain't doing this junk. Yeah, I don't care. I'll deal with coach later if it doesn't work. But we know this ain't happening. So, super frustrating. I'll go get into the Tennessee Kentucky matchup right now. I want to go back and find the clip, but you guys can attest to this. And sources have come out saying that it is particularly more true, even true now. I think we can keep this game close. I truly believe that based on what I saw for Texas. Now, there also is a potential for this to be embarrassing, though. And I mentioned on Spaceballs that I was on Wednesday, he asked me to come on his Spaces and podcast. I gave him my prediction. I think I gave him 27-23 is what I said. I think I'd keep it close, and then Tennessee pulls away in the fourth quarter. The reason why I gave us that many points is because I think Texas defense is better than yours, and I think we can move the ball up and down the field. Your run game allows 200 yards per game. So I'll get into why I think that can be big if we're healthy at running back. But if
how many?
If 200 from
what?
I looked it up. I looked it up on the Google. I'll show it to you in a second. But
the Google. Oh, you've
the Google. Yeah. And I looked up Tennessee,
Google.
ESPN. It shows what the yards were. I'll pull it up. It might have changed after the Alabama game, but I don't think so. Anyways, if this is embarrassing, this came out today. If you're watching and you haven't seen Roland's article, go check it out. There's some people saying that if this is embarrassing, if the Tennessee game is embarrassing, that we might have new coach before end of season or interim coach for end of season. And I don't know if it happens, how fast it happens. Maybe not by the Auburn game, but we could see new dudes standing on the sideline come Florida at home, which would be wild. Because I do think this is Stoops' last season. I've been saying it since last season and how terrible that went. But I never expected him to be let go middle of season.
Not with that price.
No, I think my statement after the South Carolina game, I believe it was if we have games against Texas and Tennessee at home and we get embarrassed, I don't think Stoop makes it throughout the season. I honestly think doubling up Texas in every major category and still losing was just as damning as getting blown out by 20, 30 points. If this game ends up being I think Spaceballs prediction was 34-17 or something like that, 37-14. If it becomes that kind of game, that might be Stoops' last time on the sideline as head coach in Kroger.
Okay, one comment, and I'm turning it over to Hammer. Remember, I told you before the start of the season that the sports animal said the Tennessee game would be Stoops' last game. So it'd be very curious if they accurately, or very interesting if they accurately predicted that.
Was that based off some information, or they just thought it was going to be so ugly that Stoops would have to go?
Okay. Yeah, they just thought the season was gonna not be a good season, and I think they expect Tennessee to go in, stomp Kentucky, and then that'll be it. But to you, Hammer.
Where are you getting your 200 yards a game number, homie? We need to settle this.
I have my notes here. I'm trying to pull them up. Hold on, because he asked me to come on the show, and I looked this stuff up.
Did you get those off the Google too?
I'm not. Hold on, I'm fine.
Oh, he can't find it now.
No, I have it. I typed it in, and it said Tennessee Titans. I don't care about the Tennessee
Titans. You did say maybe it went down after Bama. We had their run game pretty in check though, so it probably would have gone down after Bama.
Because Tennessee's given up 133.7 yards a game rushing. They're number 54 in the nation. Kentucky is averaging 155 yards rushing per game. That's where I think Kentucky has opportunity.
Yes. Go ahead. Tell me your thought. I'm gonna find this because I got it. I copy and pasted it in my notes here on my phone. If I'm wrong, I'll own up to it. But because it was wrong. I think it was 198.5 rush yards per game is what it said. But I said if Kentucky gets 200 rush yards on y'all, we're in it. That's what I think. That's the number. Even if you guys allow 155 rush yards, put it at 180 to 200, including Cutter Bowley's rushing. It's got to be that sort of game. One, for time of possession purposes, and two, that's really where we can exploit you if we're not going to use our high profile or big money Kendrick Law, Jamori Macklin type receivers.
Yeah, no. I think because you and I talked about this, and I've said this elsewhere. We've seen Cutter Boley go from kind of deer in the headlights when he came in relief to had a pretty efficient game against Texas. So you're seeing, excuse me, you're seeing that improvement from him, game over game, and that's what you want to see from a young player is consistency in and improvement. So all that's well and good, but Randall, I've got to ask, what's the health of Seth McGowan?
He's questionable. That
It's
was another
injury, right?
I'm sorry.
It's a shoulder injury, correct?
Yeah, shoulder chest. I think was the CT scan. So not entirely. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it is. The story came out that was posted by KSR was that he was getting a CT scan. They said he was cleared. They didn't really know what it was, and he pulled out the IV and ran back onto the field. They didn't think we were going to get him because he was in the final drive to get us to overtime to the kick, but then never saw the field again, which was frustrating because we saw him in there. I didn't know at the time that he was hurt. It wasn't until the next day. And it was like, if you're going to do that play where you're stubborn and just going to run the ball up the middle of the field against that front, how is your best running back not in the game? I know Dowdell's a big old son of a gun, but you got to give the ball to your best player there. So, but apparently it was because he was hurt, which I don't understand. If he was well enough to finish the fourth quarter and we rolled right back out there, he wasn't well enough to play a snap in overtime. Maybe it got worse. I'm not sure. But yeah, he is questionable, and I'm super nervous he's not going to play.
Yeah, that's some of the things I kind of looked at. Sort of everybody was kind of leaning towards they don't expect him to play. I guess we'll know tomorrow for sure, because I think that obviously is going to affect how Kentucky attacks Tennessee's defense. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna make a pitch for why Kentucky can be in this game, and if the offensive line can give Cutter some time, he can extend plays. He's shown a prowess for rushing, and mobile quarterbacks historically, Teal vouched for this, give our defenses fits, and that goes all the way back to 2001, and I don't even want to talk about it. In the SEC championship against LSU. So there's opportunity there. One thing I am concerned about, though, is it Gilmore? Is that the other receiver opposite Law? Am I
Harley Gilmore, Fred Ferrier will come in at times. But Harley Gilmore gets the most snaps outside of K-Law.
Yeah. They get the benefit of us not having Jermod McCoy on the field. Because there's a really good transfer in Colton Hood at corner, and then there's a true freshman in Ty Redmond. So if they can give Cutter time and these receivers can get some separation. But one thing I am concerned if I'm looking at this game from Kentucky's perspective is the yards after catch. Your best receiver, Law, he only averages about 9 yards of reception.
Because they start 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, whatever the issue is, that could be a problem. And then Gusta, that's that big defensive interior lineman, right? And Alex Safari, those guys are going to have to be disruptive. You're not going to be able to let Joey sit back there and pick you apart.
Yes.
We already know we're going to rush for over 200 yards against you, so that's not a problem. But if the pass game gets going, this thing could get ugly quick.
Yes, and I will tell you right now, watch it when we watch the game. You guys will not throw to nickel side. You will pick on JQ Hardaway over and over and over again. I guarantee it. Heupel's going to see it, and he's going to. I don't know if Nichols is going to try to roam with Brazel. But if I'm the OC, I'm like, hey, I'm getting you somehow matched up with this dude. If it's man and man or just on his side, T, when you watch him play, you'll pick out it's almost like a confidence thing. 3rd and 6, you got to play the sticks in the situation. He's 10 yards off the ball and first step is back, right? It's just he just as long as I don't get beat deep, he'll give a first down. Not situational football is not great, but as long as I don't give up the touchdown, it's kind of the big thing here. And
that may be what he's taught. They may say keep everything in front of you and make the tackle.
Yeah.
When you see it play different on the other side, though, so maybe it is what he's taught because they don't trust that, maybe. Yeah. And DJ Waller has been out, but I mean, I'm talking about this play just going back to, this is game on the line. Got to stop them. If you get them off the field, and you potentially can win a game or can run the clock out. And we're giving up these easy things, easy passes. I don't know. It's tough for me and how aggressive Brad White can be at times. That he's being taught like that, but maybe he is. When you watch him on Saturday, I'll have to get your opinion on that.
Well, one thing that again, it goes back to how well the offensive line can protect Cutter and how much time they give him in the pocket. Tennessee's 117th in passing yards allowed, over 257 yards a game. Ironically, they're tied with Notre Dame in that stat category. That's how bad we talked about how bad Notre Dame's defense is. Yeah, give Coach Evans a shout out. But here's the glaring one, T, and it's going to make you sick when I tell you this. Tennessee, there are 136 FBS teams. Tennessee is 135th in red zone defense. So if you guys can sustain drives and get into the red zone, you've got a chance in this game.
That's going to be interesting because we suck in the red zone. That's been the Achilles heel. It's like we can get down there, we cannot score.
Yeah, I think you're outside the top 100 in red zone offense, but I mean, it's got two exits and no waiting right now. So,
yeah. So I looked up. It says last 3 games, 196 yards rushing allowed.
Tiff and Cat Fan gave you all the stats right there. So.
Yep, I just looked it up. But yeah, the Statcast or whatever the hell this said 146 over the season. So whatever that is, but yeah, I think that's definitely closer to what Hammer's number. So last 3 games, it's been a problem. We have to try to exploit it for it to be 4 games for it to be a problem. Patterson can potentially come in there and do something special. Dowdell is kind of weird because he's a big boy. But he's not really a bruiser. Yeah, but he's not really. KFC, so on Twitter, Christian was messaging me back and forth, and he was like, and this is just because it's easy comparison, but coming from where he came from, and he's not really getting the workload before, and he liked him to like a Derrick Henry where he can play outside of tackles, and if he's going to run up the middle, he's got to wear you down, right? He's got to be a guy who can get the ball over and over, wear the defense down to where it's like, hey, I'm not tackling this dude anymore. And then he can start breaking some runs off. He's not getting that opportunity if Seth McGowan is in the game because McGowan's getting most of the touches and McGowan can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Oh, yeah.
But Patterson can play similar to Seth, not as well, not as mature, not as big of a body. But I wouldn't be surprised if McGowan can't play, that Patterson is actually the back who's getting most of the touches. And he was there last year too. So he showed some spark when he got a chance. It's unfortunate because Jamarion Wilcox is, the alleged sexual assault and then all the background stuff behind him. He should never touch a football field again if what he did is true. But man, he's a football talent. If he had a good head on his shoulders, I'd be saying give him the rock because what he can do with the football is special. He's just allegedly not a great human being. But as we wrap this thing up, what do you think? How do you think this plays? So Hammer, you gave us ways we could win. Obviously, you think we lose, I would imagine. by a bunch, 7.5. Is that still the spread? Do you know?
Yeah, I think it came down. It was, I want to say 8.5 earlier, and I think it ticked down to 7.5. So there is some money coming in on Kentucky, and I think that's largely due to the performance that Tennessee put on the field against Alabama. But
and
there's
Arian Carter is questionable, right? So just
oh yeah, okay, yeah. I knew he was dinged up. I didn't know what his designation was, so I'll keep an eye on that because that would be a huge blow, especially to the run defense and rushing. Okay, so Will just
Yeah,
says
I just checked. It's back up to 8.5.
so, but one of the things that I look at when I'm doing betting research, and I don't mean to necessarily tie everything back into betting, but let's be honest, these things kind of go hand in hand because it's statistics and numbers and things like that drive these lines, right? So Kentucky's lost 9 straight SEC games. I'm just stating facts here, Rando. I'm not trying to rub it in.
No, yeah.
In the last 40 years, Tennessee's record against Kentucky is 37-3. I got to go on the side of history here. And
Me too.
when you look at the prowess that this offense has been able to display over the course of the year, laid an egg at Bama, and sometimes you just have those, and unfortunately, we have them on the road. So the potential's there, but I also think that I think Kentucky's going to have trouble scoring. I think Tennessee probably gets a few things fixed that were broken last week, and I could easily see this game. Within one score. So I'll throw out there. Tennessee 31, Kentucky 24.
That McCurdy stat right there makes me super nervous. 65% of the money on the Cats, and the line has gone back up to 8.5.
I've seen it as low as 7.5 today. So it's really hard to say the line because every sport book makes adjustments based on their handle in their particular book. So you could have some that are heavier on Kentucky, especially in and around that area where you may have more in Vegas, Atlantic City, whatever. So it's
it's
tough.
A good point.
I've seen as low as 7.5. I've seen as high as 9.5.
Yeah, so whatever McCurdy's looking at, it must have been 65% of the money. Got that line down a little bit from 9.5 to 8.5. And I don't know if that's just his book or if that's a collection of all the sports books who put that information out there. But they're rarely wrong. So 65% of the money on the Cats tells me, oh man, they might have a big payday when with Tennessee covering there. T, what do you think?
I think 42-21.
Golly.
Vols. I think we're better. And like I heard all the points about what could possibly happen with the passing game and all that, but we talked. There's a lack of creativity with the passing. You don't feed Macklin. Like I from a neutral perspective, I don't like what y'all do in the passing game, and so it doesn't. Even though we have Redmond, a true freshman, and all that, he's been getting reps. I'm not overly fearful of the passing game. So I think we focus in on the running game. Now, remember what I told you last year. I look at all SEC games with an appropriate respect of the fact that we're playing an SEC team, regardless of if you're the best team or worst team in the SEC. I think Kroger is still going to be a good atmosphere because it's a night game. And y'all are playing us. So I know the fans are fed up and all that kind of stuff, but I still think there's at least chance for it to be a good atmosphere. So
this seems to trigger a response.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. They're playing.
I'm very curious, man. I almost think I would lean that there's going to be a lot of orange there, and I just don't know. There was people out there on Twitter saying, hey, if the only one way you can force him out is don't show up. I just think it's so silly, man. Like go support the team. And the coach, The coach is one person. You got 90 dudes on that sideline. Go support the team. Again, because like I said at Texas, like go out there, watch Cutter Boley play. And I said it again today on X, is like you don't want to try to be stubborn, get a coach out there. Like you said, Hammer, we don't have any play in this thing. And what are you going to miss? Maybe unlikely, but miss being in the atmosphere, watching a win? Why take that risk? It's just so silly. That being said, Purdue exhibition game in Lexington is on Friday. Those tickets aren't cheap. I could see the fan base saying, hey, we're going to transition, and that's going to be our event this weekend, and not go to the Tennessee game. And there's a lot of orange in that crowd, which makes it, not the ruckus environment that we had that helped us against Georgia last year in Texas last week.
Can I say one thing about that exhibition game?
Yeah.
I hope you beat their asses.
Me too. We won't have J-Lo.
Here's I got a Purdue story for you. So that's another. So Hammer, that was my primary school when me and Rando were on recruiting. Rando was up in North Dakota. I had the northern half of the state of Indiana. So I had Purdue and I had Notre Dame. And so and I was there 17 to 20. So Grant and Admiral's years. And that was the year that Carson, what's his face, put us out in overtime in March Madness. So I had my pool of candidates who wanted to go to officer candidate school. And the game was on a Wednesday, and I had my PT, my workouts with them Tuesday and Thursday morning. So I told them on Tuesday, I said, if Purdue, and they all knew I was from Tennessee, I was like, if Purdue beats us, Thursday's PT is going to be the worst PT that you have ever had in your life. And then sure enough, Carson Edwards, that was Nick. Carson Edwards put us out, and I proceeded to break them jokers off on Thursday. It was
good for you. That's a good man. That's serving your country well right there.
Yeah.
We're not stopping until you puke, and this ain't my fault.
That's right.
It's Carson Edwards' fault. That's
right.
His fault.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you push up until I throw up.
Yeah. So I hate Purdue because I was right there on campus the first time they put us out with Admiral and Grant and Bone and them. So I'm with you. As much as I hate Kentucky, just from hate Purdue too.
Yeah, enemies of my enemies are my friends.
This time.
Yeah. There won't be many. But this one is.
I think the reaction is going to be excessive to that game, no matter what. If we play with the number one team in the country, even if it's a loss, but it's a close game, we're going to overreact. If we don't play very well without a starting point guard in this team, the first time they're really playing together, not against each other, I think people will overreact, especially non-Kentucky fans, with all this money that says tied to it. Oh, you guys paid $200 million for a roster and you stink, So I'm excited to watch the boys play. It's the basketball season is here, so that's always exciting for us who are a part of Big Blue Nation. Takes the pain away from watching this football team play, or get coached, I should say. Watching them play has been exciting. The coaching decisions has been what's super painful. But excited to see them play. Hopefully they win. But if you're watching, let's not overreact. It's an exhibition game that especially after having J-Lo get injured, I'm sure we're going to be pretty conservative on playing time and lineups and whatnot. But getting in my prediction, I'm still going to stick with the 27-23. We lose. I think in the third quarter, I'm still right there with you guys in this thing. I got this weird. I've been bitching about it really all week and all year for the last 2 years. Bush has been there. I got this weird feeling because of all of this stuff that's coming out about like, hey, if this game's ugly, I just don't think Stoops wants to go out this way. I'm hoping, I'm praying, and I got this like gut feeling that we finally see some of the offense open up and we just go for broke. It's like if we play the same way, we're going to lose by a bunch. If we change it up and it doesn't work, we're going to lose by a bunch. So like, why does it matter? Let's lean on the run game. Let's play action pass. But let's actually do some things. Let's go if we don't have our best running back but we try and create matchup issues. Let's do some old school Wildcat offense type stuff. Let's do a trick play here or there. Like let's let's use Cutter's legs and be like, we're going to put this game on your shoulders if we have to, if Seth's not out there. I got this feeling that we're going to see some things we haven't and don't expect. It might only be this one game that we kind of get outside the box. But I have a feeling this is a Old Miss, Brock Vandegrift, go for it on 4th and forever in your own red, or on your own side of the field to 20, just because you got to have a win. But I still think your team is better and your coaching is better, and we'll find a way to lose this game at home, which is unfortunate. But yeah, 27-23, Cats are in it in through the third quarter, and the fourth quarter is where this thing probably starts. Y'all wear us down a little bit. We can't keep up. And the defense plays very, very, very well, like they do most of the game. And then just, the gas tank becomes empty, and Joey and the boys are able to move the ball down the field. Very, very similar to what y'all did at the end of the game against Georgia, except, you're not playing Georgia, and you'll be able to close this one out.
Yeah, and I think the tempo is probably, especially as we get later into the season, I think the tempo starts to be more effective from the Tennessee perspective, and tougher to deal with from the opponent. So it's got T's prediction is not crazy, because I see a scenario and a pathway for that happening as well. So we'll see.
There is a much greater than zero chance that y'all come down the field 3 straight times and score 3 straight touchdowns, and it's 21-0 before the first quarter ends. And I'm just tearing into this bottle of bourbon that I bought for Saturday, and it's going to be a wild ride. I am prepared for the exact opposite happening of what I just said, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, it's going to be fun no matter what. But maybe not so much for you.
Yeah.
Right? Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, Saturday I'll get there. I will get there by Saturday, and I'll come on the live show, and we'll start off a little pregame. We'll go maybe a couple minutes beforehand, and I'm going to tell you why we're winning this ball game. I will get there eventually.
You'll have Kentucky winning by 30 by the time we get to
I don't know about 30. I just got to win by 1. Just got to get that extra half yard. Oh, man. Just needed 6 inches. I swear that's 6 inches, but just needed it. But on that note, gentlemen, I appreciate it. As always, you coming on here, let's chop it up. It's always a good time. This is the week, though, where the bonds will get tested. We'll see how it goes. If it gets early, or if it gets ugly late, I'll just concede. If it is a ball game, it'll be interesting how it goes. But gonna hopefully get some of the Kentucky support on the show as well. Some of the State Line Co guys, so they might jump on there with us. Regardless, it'll be a good time. Watching along and just calling a game and just BSing like we're in the same room, just 5,000, 6,000 miles apart.
Minor detail.
Yeah, minor detail. But all right, y'all. Hammer. I forgot to mention this. I want to get out there. Did you do you did a little cut today with Coach, or is that?
I did.
Okay, and that's getting recorded, or I'm sorry, that's getting aired tomorrow, right?
I believe that is correct. Yes.
Okay, so go check. It's at during Live at 5.
I believe it is. Yes.
Okay, so Live at 5 Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Coach Evans is going to have Hammer on 102.7 The Game to do a Kentucky-Tennessee preview. So make sure you check that out. It'll be live on X, YouTube, and of course, if you're in Owensboro or in that area, you can listen to it live on the radio or catch it on their Spotify network. We'll definitely repost it. Go follow Irish Hammer at T-Step, Selena, but go follow. She's not here, but go follow at KY Sass, and then All UK Ball. Check us out at Border Rivals HBS on X, and then Heavy Pour Sports on TikTok. We've gotten a lot of support on TikTok, so I really appreciate that. The viewership and the growth has gone up, mostly over my pitiful rants about how we need to change the coaching staff. So appreciate y'all's appreciate the sympathy there. Clicking that, I'm definitely getting double clicks and they feel bad for me, but I'll take it. But we will see you back here for the happy hour watch along show on Saturday. And as always, go Cats.
Go Big Orange.